And in the spirit of the theme of his case study, which is on reducing friction, Chester Bullock, am going to reduce the friction between me and your presentation just to say you are now the Director of Marketing Technology at RentPath Network. You have been in the past at vendors like Trendline and Merkle, but also on the marketing side at Ticketmaster and AAA. You are on the slopes, aren't you, Chester?
I wish I were. I actually didn't get the memo, and I'm still in Florida from when we were supposed to be here in April.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, but I thought we should be.
Chester's got a cool case study he's going to tell. Like a lot of the cases here at EIS, they drill into some of the details and talk about all the little ways in which you can improve your programs. In this case, how to reduce friction between your email and a conversion. Go ahead, Chester, take it away.
Sure thing. Thanks, Steve. All right, everybody should be able to see my screen now, I hope. So first off, who am I? This is stuff I've done. It's probably easier to say who I'm not. I'm not a make it pretty guy. And I'm not a PowerPoint guru, so you're not going to see a bunch of fancy stuff in here. And my specialty is more on the technical side of all the things that we've talked about doing during conferences like this. I make the data work. I make the technical underpinnings work. I've got some questions for Rachel from Salesforce about the AMP stuff, because that's a good sign, stuff like that. So I tend to be more on the nerdy side of things. And so this is a little bit unusual for me. Well, not unusual, I present a bit, but here we go. So what's RentPath? That's where I work now. RentPath is basically a marketplace. If you think of rent.com or apartmentguide.com, anybody who's looking for a place to rent, that's what we are. We're a marketplace for that. We connect people who are looking for somewhere to rent with people who have those places that are available to them. Obviously, the way that we get customers, there's a lot of display advertising, a lot of SEO stuff going on, all that sort of thing to get people into the funnel. But once they come to our site and they submit a lead, then they're basically mine or my team's. Currently, we're sending about 2 million messages a month out through our email service provider. And I'll walk you through the process really quick of how it works and where we were able to reduce some of the friction within this process. And I think it's stuff that almost anybody should be able to do. It's as someone said earlier, it's not rocket science. Oh, that was a different call I was on today, but someone said things aren't rocket science, and definitely not here. Nobody's going to die if an email doesn't get through, but we still like to value these leads. So you come to our site like apartmentguide.com, and it might automatically recognize where you're at. I'm in the Ponte Vedra area. I'm actually pretty close to Katie from the PGA. And so that's where it thinks I am today. Once I submit or hit submit, and yes, I'm interested in things, and our site starts showing you options in that area. So in the greater Ponte Vedra, St. Augustine or North St. Augustine area, these are the properties that are available to you. If you're interested in one of them, then what you'll do is you'll click on the button that says check availability, and a form pops up. At this point, we know, just anybody who's been around web design, anybody who's been in the interactive space for a long time, you know that at this point, that's where you start to lose people. As soon as forms are presented, people start to drop off, lose interest, don't want to make the commitment, if you will, to moving forward. A recent HubSpot survey said that about 21% of people actually follow through on the average form. Now, the metrics vary depending on how many fields you have on your form, how much information is required versus not. There's even some data that suggests if you have multi-part forms, meaning you're going through a whole series of forms, your conversion rates actually increase, but kind of the accepted global standard is around 20-21%. So my goal as an email marketer is, what can I do to decrease that rejection percentage? So if we say 21% are completing it, that means 79 are rejecting the form. What can I do to reduce that? The first time somebody comes through our site, they have to put this information in. There's no question. Over time, of course, it learns who you are, cookies remember who you are, and they'll put your information back in from time to time. But after you fill out this form and hit send, then you're presented with an email that comes from my team. So we say, okay, the property that you're interested in is going to be in touch. And if you want, if they happen to have online applications, you can click the CTA to apply now, or here's some other options for you that might be really good for you. And that's what we see in the second two panels of the slide here. Those are the recommendations that we serve up that are in that same area or have the same kinds of amenities that you're looking for. Whatever our recommendation algorithm determines is appropriate for you to see, that's what you get here. And you'll notice there we have a button that says check availability. So right now, the way that that has historically worked, and it does for most emails going out through Apartment Guide, once you click on that, it takes you back to what we call the product page or the PDP page, and it displays all the information, and then you click another button that's to submit your information. So that's creating friction in the process, something that concerns me. Instead, what we've done, and we've done this full speed in our rent.com emails. We're testing in Apartment Guide right now and expect we'll go full steam on that one very soon. But as soon as you click on yes, contact me, now it opens the web browser, takes you to a landing page and says, thank you for contacting Boulder Creek. That's in this example. So now you didn't have to fill out that form again. We didn't have to even go through the process of seeing, okay, the form's pre-populated with my information, but we still have to hit the submit button. You don't have to do any of that. So clicking something as simple in the email as yes, contact me takes that friction away and makes the whole thing easier. The way it works behind the scenes is pretty simple. We collect the data from the web form. We have some internal processes that deal with it, and we have to do a couple things with that lead. There's some throttles that are enforced on how many leads a person can submit for X amount of time. That's part of the way we counter bot traffic and things like that. So some safeguards are in place and processes that it goes through. Then an email is kicked out through our email service provider. You click to get more information. You get onto that landing page that we just saw. But as part of that landing page, we're also writing that information to the database. And then MuleSoft comes along, picks up that information from our Marketing Cloud database, feeds it to our lead service API, where it then goes back into this internal process and starts the loop again. So after you get that first email, then you say you're interested in another property. Now you're going to get another email like this one with a different property up here in the left or in the top of it, and then you'll get 4 new recommendations, and that process just continues. So as many properties as you submit leads on, we'll start serving up more and more recommendations to you. So as you can see, we've definitely taken some of the pain out of that consumer experience, and as a result, we have seen in our test cases right now, we're showing a 6% improvement in leads generated through the one-click process. But on the rent side, in some instances, depending on the email, I've seen as much as 30% increase in the number of leads that are coming through, just by removing that simple obstacle of going to the page, clicking the button, having a form pop up, and having to hit submit. Even though the form's pre-populated, we see those things happen. So we're really excited about what's going on there, and we're really grateful to our product teams who have built what we call the lead service API that allows us to, I'm not seeing the question box, so I'm looking for that. Sorry, everyone, chat box. But we appreciate the work that the product team did so that we can have that seamless experience for the consumers and really just get as many leads as we can. We want to make the properties happy. We also want to make the consumers happy and give them as much information as we can. So with that, I think I sped through it a little bit faster than I anticipated, but I did want to open it up to questions. If you want to reach out to me to talk about how we do this or have any other kind of technical questions you want help on, my contact information is on the screen here. And this little GIF that's playing is specifically for John. This is what Breckenridge looked like last year. So.
Thank you, Chester. He's heckling from the sidelines.
Yes.
So a couple of quick questions. How long did it take for you to get this from inception to execution?
Well, the lead service API was actually there already. So it took us about 2 weeks to do the test, to do the backend configurations. We had to figure out where MuleSoft was going to be able to pick up data from. within our marketing cloud, figure out how that part worked, because no company had used that before. So we had to build that out, do some testing. And then we had to build the landing pages to capture the information off of the click from the email and all that sort of thing. So I think one of the popular misconceptions people have is these magical things just work right out of the box, and they don't. I'm here to tell you, as a technical marketer, sometimes it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort to make these things work, and especially to test them and to make sure that they're going to be very bulletproof. So it's more challenging than people think sometimes.
So what have you used how has it changed the email channel in terms of either what you're doing in the email channel to prompt people into this chain, or on the back end, as you're getting more data about them, how you're using the email channel to interact with them differently?
Sure. So to answer the first question, how has it changed the email channel? We have an increased share of lead attribution within our organization. So we are able to say email is generating this % more leads for the organization, which at the end of the day, leads are money. So we're responsible for a bigger share of the revenue pie, which that always feels good.
Okay.
In terms of how we use the data, we're still evolving that. As I talked about on the roundtable yesterday, we're still trying to figure out the best way to optimize our recommendation engine. Right now, it's an internal algorithm that we developed, and it's very property centric. What I would like to do at some point is to move to a more customer centric model. So I can tell that Christy isn't happy over in Palacio. She wants to move maybe up to Jacksonville, or maybe down into Palm Coast, somewhere like that. And if that's the case, if she's looking at both places, I would be able to serve up recommendations in both areas, as opposed to just the one that she looked at, which may have been South Jacksonville.
That sort of leads into a question that we've got from Garen about the average customer life cycle for this, since it looks like you're doing a lot of personalized relevancy in a short time frame.
That is an excellent question. I think traditionally our organization has kind of looked at the consumer as, we've got them for this finite amount of time while they're looking for a new place, and then we know they're out there, but we're not going to do a whole lot of work to retain them. So my team has been working on a longer term content strategy to retain that consumer. We all know the stories about how much it costs to retain a consumer versus obtaining a new one. So we're trying to reduce that cost on our end. So we're working on a long-term content strategy to where we'll be able to retain that consumer for longer down the line. So if they're unhappy with the place they rented in 10 months, 12 months, whatever it is, then they would be able to come back to us and remember, okay, Apartment Guide was really helpful, or rent.com was really helpful to us.
Chester Bullock, as always, it's a treat. Thank you so much for wrapping us off on a really thought-provoking note. I really appreciate it. Hope we will see you. We will get you out of balmy Florida and back to the slopes next year. Well, actually, in June, if we can handle it, we'll be closer to you.
I was going to say, I'm here, so let's do it at Amelia Island. Is out there a couple of weeks ago. It's beautiful.
Okay. Chester, thanks.